from the University of Oklahoma, standing 6'6", number 14, Anthony.
Hey Magic fans, the new season is upon us, and with it comes a new video, this one on the magic career of Anthony Bowie. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can learn the story of every Magic player who ever suited up for the franchise. Anthony Bowie played college basketball at Seminole State in Oklahoma before being drafted with the 66th pick in the 1986 NBA draft by the Houston Rockets. After failing to secure a contract in the NBA or Europe, Bowie played in the CBA for the Quad City Thunder, where in the 1988-89 season he was the league MVP. His strong CBA play got him called up to the San Antonio Spurs before being traded to the Rockets for that 1989-90 season. After his contract with the Rockets expired, Bowie headed to play in Italy, where he led his team in minutes played and points scored. After coming back to the Quad City Thunder in 1991, the Orlando Magic were in a particularly injury-riddled period, with Dennis Scott, Brian Williams, Scott Skiles and Otis Smith all missing time. Bowie was picked up by the Magic on December 31st after 15 straight losses in a season that had spiraled out of control. With so many players injured, Bowie quickly found a place in the rotation. Bowie made his Magic debut on January 4th, 1992, playing 16 minutes off the bench, scoring 4 points in another loss to Denver. After 8 points in his second game, on January 8th, the injury-riddled Magic signed Bowie for the remainder of the season, and that evening the Magic broke their 17-game losing streak, winning by 1 point over Seattle. When Nick Anderson went down with the flu, Bowie was pushed into the starting lineup in his 5th game, and he responded with 16 points. While Bowie went back to the bench in his next game, this began a run where Bowie scored in double figures in 40 of the next 48 games. Bowie played well at both ends of the floor, and his spirited play, along with pickup Chris Corchiani, momentarily looked like it might turn the Magic's season around as they won 4 out of 6 games in late January. 4 straight losses followed, however, and coach Matt Guokas tried Bowie in the starting lineup again against the Warriors. Bowie put up a career-high 25 points, along with 8 rebounds, 5 assists and 2 blocks, but the Magic lost again. In mid-February, Nick Anderson got into a scuffle at a rap concert, breaking his orbital bone, and Bowie was pushed into the starting lineup for the next 23 games. During the run, he averaged 16.6 points and 5.4 rebounds while shooting over 50% from the floor. Bowie was on the way to a likely career high March 10th against the Nuggets, tallying 24 points before being ejected with 10 minutes remaining for fighting with future teammate Todd Lichty. Bowie was fined $5,000 and suspended for the following game for the incident, but it didn't break his pleasing form. In consecutive games at the end of March, he increased his career-high point total to 26 and then to 27, but the depleted Magic won only 4 of the 23 games that Bowie started. Anderson returned to the lineup in April, sending Bowie back to the bench, but he kept contributing, leading the Magic to a win over his former team, San Antonio, with 24 points, and the next night dropping 23 on Houston, the team that drafted him. Bowie got the start again in the final game of the season, and he upped his career high again to 31 points. Bowie was one of the few bright spots for the Magic, who limped to the end of the season with a 21-61 record. Bowie had played the season on a minimum contract worth around $110,000, and he was now a free agent. He had vastly upped his value with his stellar play, but with the Magic winning the draft lottery and selecting Shaquille O'Neal with the number 1 overall pick, Bowie would have to wait until Shaq's rookie deal was signed before he could try and work out a new contract with the Magic. Bowie received interest from Detroit, but once Shaq signed, the Magic could exceed the salary cap to outbid Detroit, inking Bowie to a reported 3-year, $2.7 million deal. Late in training camp, Bowie dealt with a foot injury which affected his play, and that, coupled with the healthy return of Dennis Scott along with Nick Anderson, greatly reduced his role to start the season. Bowie came off the bench for his first 23 games, averaging less than 5 points per game in around 14 minutes a night, where he only scored in double figures twice. The Magic picked up 3-point specialist Steve Kerr in early December, and he ate into Bowie's minutes, with Guokas preferring Kerr over Bowie as the backup guard in some matchups. In mid-January, Bowie was moved into the starting lineup after Dennis Scott injured his calf, and playing the small forward position seemed to suit him better. For most of the next month, he revived his previous season's play, averaging 15.4 points in 35 minutes while shooting over 53% in a 13-game span. At this point, it was Donald Royal who started to eat into Bowie's minutes, as Guokas played Scott Skiles, Anderson and Royal together for long stretches, even though Bowie remained in the starting lineup and he had back-to-back 18-point nights in 2 wins against Denver and Portland in late February. Bowie continued his steady play until Dennis Scott was finally healthy in late March. In the playoff run, Gukas tinkered with the lineup in April, but with Bowie getting 9 minutes off the bench one night and playing 38 as a starter the next, it was hard to get into a rhythm, and Bowie averaged less than 6 points per game as the Magic missed the playoffs on a tiebreaker. Bowie was active in the Orlando community, holding basketball camps and participating in fundraisers, helping him become a fan favourite. In the 1993 off-season, the Magic won the draft lottery again, bringing in Anthony Hardaway with a draft day trade. After a poor pre-season from Dennis Scott and Bowie, Penny started the season at shooting guard alongside Scott Skiles, pushing Nick Anderson to small forward and leaving Bowie to compete with Scott and Donald Royal for backup minutes on the wing. The Magic won their first 3 games of the season under new coach Brian Hill, and Bowie scored in double figures twice, despite playing no more than 18 minutes in any of those games. As Penny Hardaway emerged as a star, and with the Magic wings having a healthy season, the high usage of the 91-92 season was a distant memory, as Bowie didn't start a single game or play more than 28 minutes in any game for the entire season. Bowie accepted his new role, providing defense and hustle, and was a dependable shooter, holding a field goal percentage over 50% from the field for the first 4 months of the season. In a February game against the Pacers, he got into a scuffle with Reggie Miller just 2 minutes after checking into the game. Both players were ejected and fined $5,000. With Todd Lichty and Laterial Green also on the roster, the Magic were overloaded in the backcourt, and while they were thin up front, it didn't matter, as the combo of Shaq and Penny were leading the Magic toward their first postseason berth in franchise history. Brian Hill tightened the rotation leading to the playoffs, with Bowie expressing some frustration over playing time as he mostly played only in blowouts. Luckily for him, there were plenty of those for the 50-32 Magic. The playoffs brought a matchup with the Indiana Pacers, and Bowie looked forward to getting into it with Reggie Miller again, but the Pacers were too experienced for the young Magic, bouncing them in a 3-game sweep as Bowie only played 13 total minutes. Bowie was entering the final season of his contract, and at 31, the Magic were looking to potentially replace him with youth, as they used their first-round draft pick on shooting guard Brooks Thompson. Brian Shaw was added to the backcourt, and Bowie had an ankle issue in the preseason. On opening night, Donald Royal was in the starting lineup alongside Nick Anderson and Penny Hardaway, with Bowie and Dennis Scott again the sparks off the bench. Bowie took a tumble during the second game of the season, injuring his wrist. X-rays were negative, and he played 4 nights later, but it affected his play as he shot an uncharacteristic 42.9% from the field in November. Bowie bounced back in the next 2 months, shooting well over 50% again, including 21 points in 26 minutes against Denver and a season-high 22 points in 30 minutes against Charlotte. In March, Brian Hill tightened the rotation, as he and the Magic were pushing for the number 1 seed in the East. Bowie's minutes dropped to around 10 per game, and his efficiency suffered, shooting less than 40% from the field. In early April, Nick Anderson missed 4 games with a concussion, and Bowie got the start. In the first game, he shot poorly, but he defended well and had 9 assists. In the next 3, he started and averaged 12 points a game, shooting almost 53% from the floor, but it was his strong defense that secured his spot in the playoff rotation once Anderson returned. The Magic headed to the playoffs to battle the number 8 seed Boston Celtics, and Bowie scored 10 points in the 47-point blowout victory in Game 1. In Game 2, the Celtics stunned the highly fancied Magic, evening the series as Bowie scored just 2 points and he was benched for Game 3. After missing all 3 field goals in the Game 4 series-clinching win, Bowie didn't get off the bench in the first 2 games of the Eastern Conference semi-finals against Chicago, but coach Brian Hill made a point of talking to Bowie, telling him not to get down about it and that he would be a factor in the series. Magic won Game 1, with Nick Anderson famously stating that the number 45 version of Michael Jordan was not the same as number 23. Jordan switched back to number 23 for Game 2, and he scorched Anderson for 38 points, leading the Bulls to victory. In the pivotal Game 3, Bowie's defense was used to try and slow Jordan. He failed, but the Magic won to go up 2-1. In the series-clinching Game 6, Bowie shot 4 for 4 from the field to score 9 points. The Magic moved on to a rematch with the Indiana Pacers, and Bowie had struggled mightily against them, scoring just 9 points from 11 shots in 3 games during the season. In the first 5 games, Bowie only played 12 minutes, not getting into the Game 3 loss in Indiana. Bowie, who had been used in Magic practices to impersonate Reggie Miller's play, did a good job of doing it in a live game, as he was one of the few to play well in the Game 6 blowout loss, scoring 14 points, including shooting 4 of 4 on 3-pointers. The shooting display earned him 13 minutes of court time in the series-clinching Game 7 victory, where he harassed Reggie Miller into a 5 for 13 shooting night. In the NBA Finals against Houston, Bowie was a non-factor against his former team, playing only 26 minutes in the 4-game series loss. Bowie finished the season and his 3-year contract unsure of whether his future would lay with the Magic or somewhere else. After a short off-season lockout, the Magic had less time than normal to fill out their roster and initially decided not to re-sign Anthony Bowie. After Shaq broke his thumb in preseason though, with Bowie still unsigned, the Magic decided to bring back the fan favourite for another season, with Bowie agreeing to a pay cut, signing for around $370,000. After missing training camp early in the season, Bowie struggled to catch up and get into game shape, and he barely played in November. Hill preferred to use Brian Shaw to back up both guard positions, and Bowie only got off the bench in 7 games for an average of 7 minutes, and he scored less than 2 points a game. Over the next 3 months, Bowie worked his way into the rotation with strong games of 15 points against the Warriors and the Bucks. Bowie's minutes increased in March, and on March 19th he got the start after Nick Anderson injured his shoulder in the previous game. The Magic pounded Detroit in what would not normally have been a noteworthy game, except that Bowie, after scoring 20 points in the game, grabbed his 10th rebound with 2.7 seconds remaining and he called a timeout. Bowie had 9 assists and he wanted to draw up a play to try and get his first career triple-double. Coach Brian Hill was reportedly disgusted, handing Bowie the clipboard to draw up the play. Pistons coach Doug Collins was livid, drawing a $5,000 fine from the NBA for not defending as he walked his players off the floor before time expired, as Bowie delivered a pass to an unguarded rookie David Vaughn, who dunked it home to complete his triple-double. The move garnered a lot of attention and there was debate over whether Bowie had violated the unwritten rules of a blowout, but while he attempted to explain his decision to Doug Collins, he didn't apologise, and he stated that he did not regret the call. Regret? I don't understand why people say I should regret having a triple-double, regardless of how it came, Bowie said. The triple-double is in the books, no matter how it happened. If those guys wanted to stop me, they could have stopped me. Bowie started 2 further games before returning to his bench role once Nick Anderson came back for the stretch run. As fate would have it, the Magic faced Detroit in the first round of the playoffs, and no amount of anger over Bowie's triple-double helped the overmatched Pistons, as Bowie scored 10 points on 4 of 5 shooting during the 3-game sweep. In the second round against Atlanta, Bowie got a few extra minutes, but again he was invisible on offense, providing strong defense and hustle plays when he was on the floor. The Magic moved on to the Eastern Conference Finals after a 4-1 win to face the record-breaking 72-10 Chicago Bulls. Bowie played 19 minutes in Game 1, but shot 2 for 7 as the Magic got blown out by 38 points. Losses followed in Games 2 and 3 as Nick Anderson crumpled to the floor with a wrist injury as the Magic went down 3-0. With Shaw also injured, Bowie started Game 4, but his 8 points did little to stop the sweep. The Magic's season was over, and so was Bowie's Magic career. Bowie held his yearly youth basketball camp one more time in July, and he watched the Magic draft another wing in Brian Evans. Then he watched as Shaquille O'Neal bolted to the Lakers in free agency, and the Magic signed veteran guard Gerald Wilkins for the minimum salary. The signing made Bowie expendable, and he wasn't interested in taking another pay cut to stick around for a rebuild, so instead he signed a 1-year contract to play in Italy. After the year, Bowie had a brief stint with the New York Knicks before heading back to Europe to play in Lithuania, Greece, and Italy, before retiring in 2002. In Bowie's 350-game Orlando Magic career, he averaged 6.9 points, 2.3 rebounds, and shot 48% from the field. This concludes our look at the Magic players who started play in the 1991-92 season. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and check back soon for our next episode on the Magic career of Lorenzo Williams.